A lot of people are freaking out about what has been happening on Bitcoin specifically, and crypto in general, but especially Bitcoin over the last 48 hours, 36 hours, somewhere in that range, and then obviously over the last couple of weeks. As a lot of people are paying attention to Bitcoin's price action and are saying that, hey, for the last month or even 2 months, Bitcoin has been sideways, and it's true. But I want you to pay attention to what you see on the screen here. We are looking actually at Bitcoin in the 2017 cycle, in the 2016 to 2017 bull cycle, and around the same time frame, about 364 days, a little bit longer than that. This is what our chart looked like, and if you compared that to what we've seen in this cycle, I mean, most people would look at this and say this is a blow off top. And that's because they don't understand Bitcoin. That's because they don't understand crypto. They don't understand how the cycle works. So most people, if this was the chart that they were looking at, they would say, oh yeah, what's going to come after is it's going to come all the way back down, because that's what happens after blow off tops. But then if you progress the chart, what you actually end up seeing is that it resumes up. And it not only resumes up, it resumes way up until you get to the peak. So what's really amazing about this chart is that this spot originally looked like the blow off top in comparison to what actually was the blow off top, which was right over here. Okay, and so a lot of people are looking at what's happening on Bitcoin in our current cycle, and they are really freaking out. And so I thought I'd make this video for a couple of reasons, to focus specifically on Bitcoin, but also to just simply look at market psychology. And I made a graphic to show you what that looks like. And so what you see, this kind of purple line, I've got a couple of different lines that I've been messing with today. But what this purple line is showing you is the 2016 cycle. And what I'm not showing you in this chart is the current, or I'm sorry, is the 2013 cycle. And part of the reason for that is because it's just different price action, although some people are talking about having a double top like we did in 2013. But before we can even say with any certainty whether or not this cycle is going to look like the 2012-2013 cycle, right now we have to contend with the fact that we are kind of seeing consistency according to the 2016-2017 cycle. And what I mean by that is we are now in the midst of a 30% plus pullback, and it's only the second time in this cycle that we've seen that. And I've posted in previous videos, but there were multiple 30% plus pullbacks by this point. There were actually 4 up to this point, this many days into the halving cycle. And so it's, we rose up quite a bit early on. A lot of that had to do with a lot of people FOMOing in due to Elon Musk adding Bitcoin to Tesla's balance sheet and whatnot. But as in terms of the pullback, right, this pullback that the pink line is showing from the previous cycle, and this is scaled to percentage increase. So if the previous cycle was based in current dollars, it's adjusted for that. So we're actually outperforming the second cycle so far, and even this dip has not gone below, in terms of percentage, what that dip was. This was a 40% pullback, and we have not even had a 40% pullback here. If I just really quickly come down to the 8-hour chart, just to show you where things are at, the bottom of this green box is a 40% drawback or drawdown. So just so you guys understand, what we're looking at here. Okay, so I'm on a weekly chart now, and so though it looks to a lot of people like, oh, we topped, this is not a blow off top. This is not even remotely close to what we saw in previous cycles at any point to show a top. Not even in the 2012-2013 cycle, it didn't look like this. In fact, if we just want to go back really quick to that first cycle, we had a double wave. So you could see the first top looked like this. That is definitely a blow off top. And then we had a second blow off top. So that's what the price action should look like when Bitcoin gets to the end of its bull run in this cycle. So we're not even there yet. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you, if we scrunch this down and look at it in comparison to that pink line, look at what that looks like, right? So it doesn't look like a parabolic blow off top when you compare it to the previous the 2016-2017 cycle, right? So whatever the end date of this cycle is, like nobody really knows. You have to watch for that vertical blow off top. And so I just, to this point of the video, I think the thing I really want to emphasize to people is to relax. We haven't even broken the way that the 2016-2017 cycle runs as far as the pullbacks, the depth of the pullbacks. If we go further than 41% of a pullback right here, if we come down below this green box, well, then that's going to be the signal that maybe we should start looking at it to correlate more to the 2012-2013 cycle. And just, so you guys are aware as you watch, in that cycle, the drawdown here, like even if we just go from the all-time high, the blow off top here, let's see, the high here was around 1163. So if I go from about here, within 21 days, we had a 67% drop. When, after 133 days, we were down to 70%. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong top here. Let me show you this top. This is the one I was looking for. I was wondering why the numbers seemed off. If you go from this top down to the bottom, this was in 1 week, over 80%. Okay, we didn't see that. We haven't gone 80% in 2 weeks. We haven't gone 68% in 3 weeks. We haven't gone 75% down in 84 days. So what is that? That's like, I can't do my math. It's like 13 weeks, right? So we would have to go about 14 weeks and drop down 75%. So we're not even remotely close to comparing to the first cycle in terms of what a drop could look like and what the price action is going to look like. So just have some patience, first of all, and realize that we're still really early in the cycle. We still have, even if we peak as early as some people think we might peak in September, we still have 126 days. So we're still 4 months away, if not more. And so that's something to keep in mind. Now, what I'd like to shift over to is this market psychology chart. It's based on the Wall Street cheat sheet. And so what I want to show you here is I want to walk through the way that the average person typically invests and trades. And so typically, and I'm using the Bitcoin 1 week chart from the 2016-2017 cycle, just so you guys are aware. From the start, you have most people looking at, and it doesn't have to be Bitcoin, it could be any sort of equity, whatever, as price is moving kind of slowly and sideways, there's a lot of disbelief. It's like, oh, this is never going to get off the ground. Well, then as price starts to increase a little bit, there starts to be some more attention paid to it. So you have, oh, maybe I saw this on CNBC, or maybe I heard this from some of my friends who are invested. But most people still don't pull the trigger because people are too gun shy. And also a lot of times people don't really know what they're investing in. They don't do their research. And so they don't know exactly what to buy. They don't know when. This is when they start asking questions. They get to the interest stage. They're like, wow, it's really gone up a lot. So even though they could have bought at this stage, they still haven't bought yet. They're not attracted yet to it. They're not really like interested in buying. But now, if you think about it from here from this disbelief section over to where they actually are interested, you could see a pretty good increase. I mean, with Bitcoin at this point, it was a couple 100%, okay? But it could be 10%, 20%, 30% increase. People start getting interested because they see those huge increases, and a lot of times the reporting starts to come out like that about the price movement, and so people get really attracted. So if you're seeing something in the news, if you're seeing something on the internet being talked about, it's probably because you're too late to the game. And so price is moving, and that really attracts people. So a lot of people start paying attention to it. Then you have this optimism stage where you start, most people, they still haven't bought. Some people maybe buy here, but some people haven't bought still. And you start dreaming. You start thinking, wow, if I buy this and it continues up, I could get a huge return off this. So maybe you call into investment advisors, or maybe you are looking for what people are saying on the internet. You're looking for that signal. You're watching somebody's YouTube and you're saying, hey, should I buy this here? Is it too late to buy? Is it too late to buy? Or is it too early to buy? And then you get to the euphoria stage where price is just taking off. And this is definitely true as it relates to Bitcoin. When Bitcoin comes to the peak of its cycle, there's going to be so much euphoria. People are going to buy. They're going to be like, it's going to 1 million. It's going to go up 1,000%. And then most people are going to pull the trigger right around this area, even though price has already come up exponentially from that spot. They won't buy. They won't pull the trigger right there. Instead of buying when the price is low and there's not as much interest, they're going to FOMO into that momentum. And then as soon as the blow off top happens, the euphoria stage is over, it's going to come down, and on the first bounce, it's going to be hope. Oh, this is just a setback. It's going to come back up. It's going to resume its upward trajectory. Not realizing that at this point they've already come all the way from the bottom over here, right? Then as price continues to go down, there's going to be anxiety. People are going to start asking questions, looking for what's going on. Oh, I'm sure there's reasons for this dip. And the reason why they're anxious and the reason why they're saying there must be some reason is because they don't understand what they're investing in, and they haven't paid attention to all of the price action. They haven't paid attention to fundamentals. They haven't paid attention to technicals. And so their mood is really changing because they don't understand what they bought, or they didn't have any they didn't have any real good reason other than prices going up, so therefore I'm going to buy. And then as the price continues to come down, they move into despair. And then this is where people get into, I just want to break even. And so you're begging, you're holding on to a losing trade or a losing investment because you're just hoping to break even. Because you could have gone out right, even if you sold right here, if you had bought at the very beginning, you could have sold with some profit. But because you waited until price was moving so hard, momentum was so hard to the upside, you bought higher than you should have. So now you're just hoping that it's going to go back up. And because you didn't buy at the right time on the way up, you don't have the right time horizon. You don't have patience. And so you're not going to have the patience to hold through. If you don't have any conviction that this is going to move back up, you don't have any belief or conviction that it's going to basically recycle back over to this phase and then come back up. So you're just desperately trying to break even so you can get out. And then it's continuing down. It's not getting you to a place where you can break even. So then you start getting mad. And then you start thinking, oh, it's market manipulation. Oh, I got bad advice from that YouTuber. Oh, they told me to buy and it's their fault. Or, oh, people shorting the market. And then eventually you get this capitulation sell down. And this is where most people, the weak hands, this is where we would say the weak hands are getting shaken out. They capitulate because they're afraid of losing everything. So they just sell. They sell out of everything. So what you have to understand about this is so many people, that there's the old adage, buy low, sell high. So in that cycle, in that sort of mindset, most people should buy down here and sell up here. But in reality, because people wait to pull the trigger, they end up buying high And then because they don't have patience, they don't have conviction about their trade, they just FOMO'd into the momentum, they actually sell lower. So they reverse the whole concept of buy low, sell high, and it turns into buy high, sell low. And people end up losing a lot of money. So many people lose money because of this. So what you have to do instead is you have to completely turn the script on that. And so you have to think about what a person should do, right? Opportunity, right? You have to see this, you have to see something as opportunity. Now, there's always opportunity in the market. The market is always going to be there. So you have to look around for where those opportunities are. When I say look for the opportunity, I'm not saying look at for where something is already moving 10, 20, 30% to the upside. I'm saying look for, if it's a company, look for a company with good solid fundamentals that's relatively cheap compared to its earnings, something that has good upside potential, something that is that you know that you have a lot of conviction in, or some other asset where there's a good fundamental backdrop or a good macro backdrop. You have to look for that opportunity, find the right asset, and say, wow, this is a great opportunity to buy this right here at this price. It's cheap. And then as you just buy and you hold. And then and I'll make a note about leverage and things like that in just a moment. But then when you have these dips, if you actually believe and you have conviction in the trade and you actually understand what it is that you're investing in, then when there's a dip, you buy the dip. I can get more at a discount. And you just keep having that mindset, the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. And then when price starts moving unsustainably up in this blow off top, you need to have the fortitude, you need to have the awareness, you need to have the right mindset to say, you know what, this is unsustainable and we might top soon. And then when you have to create the right price signals for yourself and the right fundamental and technical signals, and then you sell the top or you sell close to the top. And if you get a move like this, like with Bitcoin in its two halving cycles, if you can sell within 10, 20% of the top, you're a hero. Right? So you sell the top and you're cool. You're like, I did it. I started down here at the bottom and I sold at the top. And even if you sell a little bit below the top, or maybe if you sell a little bit as it's coming to the downside, your gain, is huge. Right? And then as price is coming down, you're relieved. You're like, man, I'm sure glad I sold when everybody else was FOMOing in during the euphoric blow off top. I'm glad that I bought, when it was low and paid attention, And then as price continues to come down and it gets closer to that capitulation, you're analyzing, you're like, wow, price action is showing me that we could be capitulating soon. And then when it does capitulate, and this is especially true with Bitcoin, you say, look, this is a great opportunity. I'm going to buy this again. And you're happy as can be because you have conviction in whatever the trade is. And so like I said, this could be Bitcoin, this could be any sort of stock, this could be a commodity, whatever the case may be, this is the type of mindset that you should have. And so as we come back, to our charts on TradingView here, like you can see that with Bitcoin, right? How many times along the way, on this chart, I'll go by the weekly chart. How many times here, could Bitcoin have been bought on dip and people didn't buy on the dip because they were too scared? They didn't see it as an opportunity. And people doubting Bitcoin, and then they sell, they don't buy again, even though this is the opportunity. How many people didn't buy here but bought here because price was resuming up? And then if we continue, how many people, instead of buying here, bought here because price was going up and they didn't really understand what they were doing, And then when we get to the top, how many people bought in this range rather than on one of these dips? How many people did that? If we come over to Bitcoin in this cycle, right? And Bitcoin is just really easy to use. Let's go back here, right? How many people, bought Bitcoin here when it dropped 60%, during the February to March crash last year? How many people bought then? People were too scared to pull the trigger, but maybe they bought here instead, right? There's a pretty big difference between those two places. Or how many people, instead of buying on this dip right here, how many people bought up here? Okay, how many people didn't buy? Whoops. How many people didn't buy on in this dip and bought up here instead? Right? You have to change your perspective. Right? How many people, once Bitcoin started to resume up, how many people bought up in this area? And now that they're seeing a 30 to 35% drop, they're freaking out and they're capitulating out of the market. They're panicking. Right? You have to have the right mindset. The biggest problem that any person could have who's invested, in this case, since I'm using Bitcoin, anybody who's invested in Bitcoin and is freaking out and selling out doesn't understand Bitcoin. They don't understand how the 4-year cycle works. They don't understand market psychology. Right now, if you were going to buy, not financial advice, this would be the time to buy. But I know, and many of us know what's going to happen. People won't buy down here. They're going to wait to buy up here. And if we follow this pink line, if our price action follows something similar, then people are going to buy up at the top, and then we're going to see another drawdown, and people are going to get shaken out. People are going to buy once we get higher and higher, and then the cycle is going to continue. So the challenge for everybody is going to be to have the right mindset. Okay? Do not invest in what you don't understand. Remember that nothing is guaranteed, so you should never invest anything that you're not ultimately willing to lose. You need to make smart decisions, and you need to have your fear and your greed in check. When others are greedy, you should be looking around for the top. When everybody is fearful, that's when you should be looking to buy. Those are the right things to do. And if you can just put those things into practice and stay disciplined in those things and not let your emotions get the best of you, then you're going to greatly improve your trading and your investing. So in light of what's been going on, I just thought I'd pop in and mention that, again, using Bitcoin as the example. Even though the pain, especially over the last few months of this consolidation, has been difficult to get through for a lot of people. It's been challenging, especially for anybody who's in any funds that are tracking Bitcoin. This is it's meant to be relieving to you that we're still early in the cycle. Nothing has been proven to be broken yet. You can see this line that I have here with this little rocket ship, and I have this blue box. This blue box between May 25th and June the 7th, this is where I think Bitcoin is going to get back to its all-time high before resuming up into price discovery. So that means that we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 days at minimum, and like 2-3 weeks, maybe about 3 weeks or so at max before I think we're going to get here. So we'll see. But this little trend line, if we come up here, we'll get above it. And once we get above it and retest this, we're off to the races. So that's my view. Hopefully that helps you to understand market psychology. Hopefully it challenges you to think about what you invest in and why you invest in it. And again, the greatest thing I can say to any of you is to do your research and know your levels and have some conviction and some discipline about what you're doing. Thanks for watching. If this was helpful to you, go ahead and like and subscribe and share. I'll see you guys next time.